sounds that don't stop echoing in your mind, sometimes as gently as a companion but also not. Few times it becomes their antagonist. Tell us about your evaluation you use on these. The prospect of that voice never existed. What it really is, where it comes from, and whether it are you really watching a scene. Drama on stage full of happy and sad emotions, anger, regrets, and you get carried away to the point of forgetting that it's just an audience, not a character. The voice in your head, as well as so about the stories, sometimes full of dramatic but not always, is a fact. It makes you forget a truth. You are not sentences, story. In fact, you are the one who listens. Listen to the witness of the silence behind all the noise, but the mind doesn't. Wants you to realize that it keeps you busy, bustling to fill every moment with thinking and judging, make you believe that you are it. It's just virtual. So when you are no longer homogeneous with that voice, you will discover a vast space where freedom and the real peace that begins is not just a concept, that is a journey. Return to the true nature of music. Imagine you are standing on a terraced sea overlooking the city. Below, each car model, each light, and even the chaotic sounds blend together, creating a picture that is constantly changing. But stop, you don't let yourself in that picture. You are not the city, you are just observing from above. High thoughts in the mind are the same. They are like cars that do not stop running. Through every thought is the car follows a story, an emotion, or a memory, and you don't just that car, you are the one looking from far. From thinking has huge power. Must be because they are true, but because they are easy to convince the news that they are you. They convey out these scenarios. Never happen to recreate the past. Cough. Erecting anxious copies, making me closely attached to the story that, but the truth is that they are just a line of chi that is not essential. You're real. Recall a time you were stressed out before a decision to think in your head. You may have made up a series of plays. What will happen if I fail? What will people think of me? But when that moment passes, you realize most what you worry never happens. Out. The thought that kept you in check makes you tired for no reason. What part of you is always quiet and not get caught up in the flow of thought? That part, chi, is the true essence, your observer witness. When you realize this, you will begin look at thinking as a useful tool. No longer let them control their emotions or actions. Of my mind is a tool to help my child. People who survived the day before it helped the first. Let's avoid wild beasts to deal with natural disasters, but in the modern world, when those dangers have disappeared, the mind still operates like that. Everything is the danger. It keeps you in a state of constant vigilance, of imaginary analysis, and plan to burn you out. Nothing really to worry about. Pay attention to. Normal day, you wake up, mind immediately it doesn't work. It looks all sorts of things. Missed plans, work scenario, or what can happen. It pulls the table from the present, plunge into the past, and then again, pushing you back to the future, leaves you stranded in an endless vortex. But if you look, you'll find that the majority of things the mind is worried and does not happen. Mind not being able to distinguish between real danger and the fear of imagining it, reacts with all as if they were all problems. Urgency, and it was this confusion that consumes energy, that keeps you wrapped forever around intention. Straight, but this does not mean you have to be governed by what matters. The most you need to realize is that this is just the line, flow of mind. It doesn't define you. The friend of that flow can weave number of stories, but you don't need to believe into them when realizing that the flow of the mind is only a very small part of the whole picture. You will see the mind just a tool you use. Employ it instead of letting your mind control you. Learn to observe it when a thought. Don't come up with the belief that it's wonder if this matters, so important that it bothers me. You will realize that when stopping to place question, most of these thoughts are self-contained and lose their power of freedom until you are no longer caught up in the swirl of stories that the mind creates. Out. Every moment becomes clear. Every moment the breath becomes peace, and you will start experiencing life in a way the most complete freedom from worries. It is not necessary to be free to be the main emotion, such as leading to fear or anxiety usually does not appear on its own long term, but it's our clinging, causing them to last longer than necessary. The mind tends to maintain sentences, the story of associating emotions with thinking and doing, for the little things that also become an unworthy burden. There is something important that is not to negative thoughts or emotions. It's about changing the way you look at them. Busy thoughts are just like a bunch clouds pass through the sky. They come and go, but the sky is quiet inside. You are still there when you realize that I am not the story that your mind will weave, so you will start to get the lightness of putting down there. Not a renunciation, but a way to. You return to the present where peace really starts. You don't have to carrying on the shoulders of that heavy backpack forever. Try to imagine a life that you are no longer dominated by thoughts, no longer let emotions drag you down. We'll see that behind all the flutes, that mix always exists, a wide space where true tranquility and freedom picking you up. It's time you need to realize that peace is not a thing. You have to look somewhere far away. That is the part that is inherent in you on this journey, not to change who you are, but to remind you that you always have the right to put down the backpack and walk with lightness. Music. In life we often think that listening is receiving sound or message, but listen with the presence. Face is more than just a physical act. It's a fully present state. No judgment, no reaction, and no be dominated by any story of the heart. Listening with a meaningful presence is the board that allows everything to appear as it is, without trying to change or cling to. Clinging to something is what you spend all your time. Set of attention. Let that receive but not get carried away. When you listen like that, you begin to feel the layers of meaning, deeper than words or superficial thoughts. Faces, for example. The moment you are facing a loved one is sharing emotions. If you listen to them with a busy mind while listening and preparing the answer or the evaluation in your head will only be received a small part of the message. But if you listen with presence, means give your full attention to that moment. Do not judge or prepare a response to. You will feel what they haven't said. That's the real emotion. What is hidden deep inside is listening. Make each link strong, then apply this to yourself as well. So when you listen to yourself with present, you don't just hear the thoughts or feelings on your surface. Begin to recognize more subtle things. Emotions, gratitude of innocent beliefs, consciousness and peace have always been there, but masked by the noise of the mind. When a thought arises, pay attention to it without reacting. No agree, no denying, nor seeking to change it. You can ask this thinking question: is really reflects who I am not, or what's grace behind the feeling, and stay silent for a few moments. Just feel your own presence, far beyond every story of the mind. When you practice listening with presence, you don't just connect to the depths, but also learn how to live to the fullest, more complete in every moment. You will receive that underneath all the noise is always exist a true truth about yourself, the truth about peace and freedom that you have searching for a long time. That is also treasures of wisdom that Zen masters often use, referring to the place where the village blends with the light source of understanding and feeling clearly the meaning of every moment. Negative emotions appear in. We don't have to be dazzling to force a fight. Defeat us like guests come to knock on the door with your own message. But the problem arises when we don't let those guests go. We will invite them to stay and repeat the sentence over and over again. The story behind that emotion turns this guest becomes an unnecessary burden. Imagine you're holding a glass of water. If you hold it for a few, it doesn't weigh much. But if you keep that glass all day long, even if it's light, no matter how it goes, it will make the original hands tired. Negative emotions are the same. They are just real. Hurts you when you choose to keep. They take too long instead of putting them down when no longer needed. Letting go doesn't mean you not caring about emotions or suppressing them. To let go is to see them in a way fully so that they exist and then gently let them leave. Don't resist emotions. Resistance only makes them stronger. Accept them as part of it, nature of your nature, and then watch them fade. Get lost. A negative emotion, if not attached with the stories that the mind creates, will lose its power on its own. For example, when you feeling sad because of a failure, the head is just a shortfall. But if the mind start telling stories like me never do anything right or anything, the one who will despise me, that sadness will turning into despair. The sentences themselves. This makes negative emotions drag long and become an unnecessary burden. When you dismiss, you do not deny what happened. You simply Refuse to let them control the present. Try to wonder what is really happens if I don't hold on to this feeling. Does it change the past? Help me feel better, will you? Realize that the answer is almost always don't let go of negative emotions. Must be a sign of reverse weakness. It is an act of internal power. It opens up space for you to receive peace, love and joy. When you put that burden on, you not only liberate yourself but also open your wings door to experience life in a way. This is also one of the courage that the Buddha mentioned. On the journey to find enlightenment, most of us are caught up in the virtual, thinking that everything in life can control our planning. Meticulously try to anticipate any situation and be prepared for any eventuality, but life does not operate according to the perfect straight line that we defend. It is always full of uncertainty and surprises. So why don't we stop trying? Control, because control gives. We feel safe, even if it's only temporary. But the truth is that that feeling is not ever pull. Long control is not just a virtual thought. It was still a burden every time I tried. Trying to control something beyond the possible, you dazzle yourself again. Those anxious and disappointing expectations are the reason why letting go of the need for inspection, control is not an act of, which is an expression of freedom. When you stop clinging to your desires, control everything, you will realize that no, control does not mean loss of power, force that frees itself from pressure, unnecessary force. Look around. Everything in your life changes non-stop, whether every relationship, all operate in one loop. Uncertain rotation you can predict but never complete control, and this is a fact that you have to face. Uncertainty is an inevitable part of when you accept this, you will found that instead of going against the flow, you can learn to immerse yourself in it. Letting go of control, it means the table. Shift the focus from trying to control the result to acceptance and react flexibly to what is. This takes courage because our minds always want to take control, but only if you stop and realize that control is not a prerequisite for achieving happiness, is what you really catch. Head life. Think of a high-flying wine in the sky. If you pull the rope too tightly, alcohol will be difficult to balance and fall easily down, but if you drop the cord just right it naturally catches the wind. The wine will fly higher and more stable. Life is the same. When you know how to let go of periods and control everything, that will be found how to balance and grow in their own way. Of course, how to let go of the check. First of all, you need to identify what you can control instead of try to change external factors. Focus on how you react to. We can't control the weather, but you can control how you prepare for it. You can't control other people's actions, but you can control your emotions and actions. The second is to accept every time you feel anxious because of situations that are not under control. Remind yourself that uncertainty is a natural part of life. Let's see it as an opportunity to learn and play, instead of seeing it as an obstacle. When you let go of the need to control, you not only feels more relieved, but also creates space for good things to happen, to flexibility that allows you to adapt with changes without being knocked down, because we are no longer victims of circumstances that become observers and accompany the life. Of life must be a battle to win. Control, that is a journey to learn to live in harmony with the flow. When you let go, you don't give up power. Rather, it is to open up a different kind of power. Power comes from inner freedom. This is the only journey to peace. Real music. An open life is not just an attitude of attachment life, but also the ability to face with everything that happens without stopping. The walls separating them are courage. Feeling to look directly at yourself, faced with fear and joy, because you cover up or hide when you are closed. Your heart doesn't just protect yourself from hurt, but also close the door to with fun and deep connection. Many people think that laughter opens the field, means weak, but actually open is the most powerful expression of growth. When you are willing to do good things, beautiful tricks, difficulties come and go. You are no longer the one who tries to control everything. You become a person who immerses himself in the flow of the game, living that is not agreeing with everything blindly. That is the ability. Recognize and accept them as they are. They exist when you live openly. You allow yourself to experience live in the most authentic way, from joy, small and hilly moments, often to the pain that you often miss, forgetting it all as part of the picture. Complete picture. Every time you face difficulties, that don't shy away from you expanding to receive more deeply understanding the obscurity. Not only stop it facing the emotions of itself, it is also the ability to be present completely when in contact with others, when listening without judgment, and when seeing people with understanding instead of defense. This is art. The connection technology is not from the replacement change the outside world, but from opening to see the world with the prism is clearer and more realistic than that. Life never promises perfection, but it is openness that helps you embrace beauty times its challenges when you dare to face the pain instead of hiding. Avoid you not only passing but also declaring. Breaking a hidden power inside is where the true meaning of life is found, in maturity and peace despite all the turbulence. All you think about you and know about yourself is just an illusion. Every step on this journey is not just to understand, but to awaken the illusion that you are defined by the thinking about emotions or stories that the mind recounts his feelings, to realize that you always greater than all of them. What did you see through the sections before sharing is the silence is always there. Press deep below. The mind's relentless noises must be the vast space you've forgotten, but it is the real house. When you realize that you no need to follow the endless flow of mind, you'll see that everything you've always searched for lying by in you. But this is not a journey to find, but a journey to remember. Think of it like a flame. Never turn off even though it is covered by attacks, the storm of anxiety, or the dust of the heart of sorrow. That light is always shining, and now through each awareness, leave you who fanned that fire to life without you having to change. You don't need to prove anything, whatever life just needs. You live with a living presence, in openness and living as yourself. No more fighting, no more clinging, no longer running away from the truth. Is where you have come, but you have found. See yourself right here, right now. Now the truth is that you don't need a point to you is the answer. Hold on. This perception is not like an idea, but as a way of living every day and every moment. Engraving you can go back to know. Silence in the table where there is nothing. What is reachable there you will find. Not only peace but also freedom that you deservedly. Being you are not just a light is silence is the joy. You are the source. The root of it all in this journey is must be the end but the beginning for yourself. Live with freedom by. Freedom has always been you. If you see this content is meaningful, please dedicate it to like a channel subscription and catch notification bell so you don't miss content. Next, thank you. Wishing you a good family. Din has a lot of health.